Also, a lot of us are obviously here for some presentations and for some acknowledgement. That's well deserved. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce and welcome to the podium for a moment Susan Wojcicki, who is the CEO of YouTube. If you would please come forward. And thank you very much for taking time to be here this evening.
Sure. Thank you so much for having this award for so many heroes of our community. So I just wanted to come out and say thank you to all of the first responders who came in on that very difficult and dark day of April 3rd. And I was in the building, and I think I can say on behalf of YouTube how incredibly terrifying it was for all of us. And it was just so amazing. I have so much respect for the work that you all do, to see how our employees all were running out and you were all running into the building, and the fact that you're trained and know what to do and know how to handle such a difficult situation. So I just wanted to come and say thank you for all of your amazing work and working so closely with YouTube and doing a really helping us all feel safe, and we're all one community, and we just really wanted to say we appreciate everything you did.
Thank you, Susan. That's going to lead us to a lot of us what we're here for this evening, which is the presentation. We're going to ask the Chief of Police to step forward, and we're going to have recognition of the first responders that address the immediate critical needs in the response of the YouTube shooting that happened in April. Chief.
Good evening. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Before I get started, I'd just like to acknowledge and thank a couple of my counterparts that made it out tonight. Chief Dan Steidel with the Pacifica Police Department and Acting Chief Mike Matucci with the Burlingame Police Department. He doesn't like to be called that, but he's stepping in for Chief Woolman, who is across the pond as we speak, so he can't be here tonight. But anyway, moving on to why we're here. On Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018, at 12:46 in the afternoon, the City of San Bruno drew national and international attention. It's a position the city has found itself in before. With the whole world watching, San Bruno police officers responded to 901 Cherry Avenue in response to reports of an active shooter at the YouTube headquarters. San Bruno police officers arrived on scene within 2 minutes of the initial call and encountered a chaotic and hectic scene. As hundreds ran from shots being fired, San Bruno police officers ran toward this immediate threat without hesitation and knowingly placed themselves in harm's way with the sole purpose of saving lives. As this incident played out, once again the City of San Bruno displayed its preparedness, commitment to the community, and extraordinary resilience. What could have been a circumstance that portrayed the city in a less than favorable light instead reinforced how strong and determined we are. We literally showed the world what San Bruno was made of that day. While we operate in an environment of very swift news cycles and the positive response by first responders to this incident is clearly evident, there is much more to the story than most realize. No one agency in our county could have handled this call on its own. This incident required an incredible amount of support from every department within the city and a number of local, state, and federal partners. The police department could not be more grateful for the tremendous contributions of those who came to our assistance in a time of significant need. We've reached out to all of these partners to convey our gratitude. There is still a great deal of investigative work being pursued regarding this event, and an extremely thorough debriefing process has been completed. This has afforded us the opportunity to step back and gain a greater understanding of what took place that day and evaluate the effectiveness of our response. In doing so, we've also learned that several individuals acted in a manner that was truly exceptional and merits special recognition. I would very much like to emphasize that the contribution of every individual that responded to this event, which exceeds 150 personnel in that short period of time, the first few hours, significantly contributed to the timely and successful resolution of this critical incident. However, as is always the case, there were individuals who found themselves in a position that provided them with the opportunity to choose to take heroic actions in an effort to save others. I'd like to begin with one of YouTube's own. As the suspect entered the YouTube campus on that afternoon, YouTube employee Allison Miller immediately took notice and asked the suspect to produce an identification badge. The suspect stopped, ignored Ms. Miller's request, and pulled a firearm from her handbag. Ms. Miller immediately sought a safe location and called 911. Based upon a subsequent investigation, there is little doubt that Ms. Miller's intervention interrupted this subject's initial plan and forced her to act in a manner that she considered to be premature. It is believed that this subject likely intended to enter a building on the campus. Ms. Miller's actions prevented a tragic event from becoming much worse and may have very well saved lives. On behalf of the men and women of the San Bruno Police Department, to Ms. Miller, we extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the actions she took that day to mitigate this critical incident. Her attentiveness and initiative prevented an outcome that could have been much, much worse. So thank you to Allison Miller, and we do have a couple items of to express our gratitude. So I'm not sure if a member of the council would like to come down and help us present those. To
Mr. Salazar, if I can ask you to please join the chief in doing that with.
And I'm not sure if Ms. Miller has made it yet, so I think there's a representative on behalf of YouTube who's going to accept. Oh, here she is.
She's been quiet, just having it. Mrs. Miller, please.
Thank you again to Ms. Miller. The San Bruno Police Department enjoys a unique and invaluable virtual dispatch relationship with the Burlingame Police Department. On April 3rd, Burlingame dispatchers Melissa Hunkin, Tara Filieri, I apologize if I'm not doing justice to your name, and Christine Granucci took notice of overwhelming amounts of 911 calls flooding into the San Bruno Police Department Communications Center. They responded immediately by answering dozens of these calls and dutifully entered the information into our own computer system, thus enabling San Bruno dispatchers to continue relaying crucial information to officers who were responding to or already on scene. Burlingame and San Bruno dispatchers answered over 200 emergency calls during the first 30 minutes of this event. At one point, dispatcher Hunkin answered a 911 call from a key witness, the first person to have encountered the shooter during the event. She asked pertinent questions of this caller and memorialized the witness's statement into our computerized CAD system for a follow-up at a later time. This initial statement and subsequent interviews has become an integral part of our investigation. And again, on behalf of our organization, to all of the men and women of the Burlingame Police Department, but to especially the three dispatchers who stepped up that day, we could not be more grateful, and we'd invite you up for a token of our appreciation.
Councilmember O'Connell, could you please go up and present with the chief? And I do want to acknowledge the mayor of the city of Burlingame, Michael Ronrick, has arrived in perfect timing, as every mayor has, to see to see your folks acknowledged and appreciated for what they did and how they helped San Bruno. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here.
Thank you. As I had mentioned earlier, the response by allied agencies to this incident was tremendous. And Pacifica Police Officer Joseph Gomez was among the first to arrive from an outside city. Upon his arrival, he encountered a gunshot victim at the entrance to the building at the YouTube campus. He immediately rendered aid to this victim utilizing a tactical first aid kit. He cut away the clothing of the victim and applied a dressing to a sucking chest wound, as well as a second occlusive dressing to the exit wound in the victim's back. Paramedics at the scene, as well as emergency room nurse and trauma surgeon, all confirmed that Officer Gomez's quick thinking and proper application of the dressings significantly contributed to the subject surviving this incident. For his heroic and life-saving actions, we are extremely grateful to Officer Joe Gomez of the Pacifica Police Department, and we would invite him up for a token of our appreciation.
Mr. Medina, would you join the chief and present?
And now we move along to San Bruno Personnel, and before we do that, there are some people in the room that played a tremendous and significant role in this incident. However, before we go there, I want to mention that as we discussed last night at a budget study session, we're a lean department. We work with a minimal amount of resources and staffing levels most of the time. And what I'd like to acknowledge is the department as a whole. While this incident happened on April 3rd at about 1:45 in the afternoon and just quickly drained the resources of not only our city but most of the county, we bounced back. And if you called 911 on the evening of April 3rd or the morning of April 4th, a San Bruno dispatcher answered that call. And if you called 911 on the evening of April 3rd or the morning of April 4th, a San Bruno police officer answered that call. And the folks who came in and filled what we do on a day-to-day basis and answered that call were just as much of a part of this response as everybody else in our department. So I couldn't be more proud of the department as a whole, for those who happened to be on duty that day and those who have filled those tremendous and valuable gaps since this incident. However, the San Bruno Police Department Policy Manual states that the San Bruno Police Department Distinguished Service Medal shall be awarded to any police department employee who distinguishes himself or herself in the performance of such duties under unusual, complicated, or hazardous conditions, where the employee used excellent judgment in accomplishing an assigned mission. This may also be awarded to an employee whose actions and training directly resulted in the saving or preventing the loss of human life. Again, on Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018, San Bruno Police Department dispatcher Erin Beckett received reports of an active shooter at the YouTube campus. She got the first call at 12:46 p.m., the first of over 100 911 calls that came in within a short period of time. During the first call and within 1 minute, dispatcher Beckett took information from the caller, entered the call into our computer-aided dispatch system, while simultaneously dispatching officers to the scene. Soon after the first few calls came into the communication center, she was joined by Records and Communications Supervisor Shannon Rohatch, who also began fielding calls. In the most extreme of circumstances, Dispatcher Beckett and Supervisor Rohatch maintained an incredibly calm demeanor and continually reassured frightened callers. They provided information rapidly and concisely to responding officers. Dispatcher Beckett and Supervisor Rohatch handled over 100 emergency calls within the first hour of this event. This does not include the dozens of other calls that came into the police department on regular phone lines. For each call, pertinent information was dutifully recorded into our CAD system by both Dispatcher Beckett and Supervisor Rohatch. As additional law enforcement agencies arrived, Dispatcher Beckett and Supervisor Rohatch monitored all officer movements while providing crucial information to those on scene and those en route and responding to the scene. The actions of Dispatcher Beckett and Supervisor Rohatch in this incident clearly meet the criteria established for the issuance of the San Bruno Police Department Distinguished Service Medal, and therefore they are awarded this medal with the sincere gratitude and appreciation of the San Bruno Police Department. I'd like to welcome Dispatcher Beckett and Supervisor Rohatch. San Bruno Police Sergeants Kevin McMullen and Mike Blundell, along with Corporal Joe Valiente and Police Officers Manuel Agredano, Oliver Reich, Scott Smith-Matungal, Misael Covarrubias, and Andrew Harper arrived on scene within 2 minutes of the initial 911 call and were met with hundreds of employees fleeing the campus. They learned that the shooter was located in a courtyard area of the campus. Without hesitation, they entered the campus immediately, noticed a victim suffering from a gunshot wound near the building's front doors, and began searching for a shooter that they believed was still active inside the building. Upon learning that one potential suspect had been located, officers immediately formed search teams and searched the second floor for victims and additional suspects. At the time of this incident, conflicting reports were received regarding the number of suspects on the premises. During the search, officers located hundreds of more employees that had not fled the scene but were hiding in several areas within the campus. Officers provided a safe pathway for these employees to evacuate the building, while at the same time gaining and relaying valuable information to responding law enforcement personnel. The actions of San Bruno Police Sergeants Kevin McMullen and Mike Blundell, along with Corporal Joe Valiente and Officers Manuel Agredano, Oliver Reich, Scott Smith-Matungal, Misael Covarrubias, and Andrew Harper, in this incident clearly meet the criteria established for the issuance of the San Bruno Police Department Distinguished Service Medal, and they are therefore awarded this medal with the sincere gratitude and appreciation of the San Bruno Police Department. Who I invite those sergeants, corporal, and officer up here to receive your award.
Out of uniform, that's why, and he works in a different place now. There.
Second one. Valente. Second one, sir. Congratulations, sir. Please be seated.
In closing, Honorable Mayor and Council members, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to recognize our staff. While they performed admirably and exceptionally in this instance, we're proud of what they do day to day, not only in the police department, but throughout the city. And we thank you for the opportunity to recognize them. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And to our public safety personnel, to our YouTube hero, on behalf of the City Council as mayor, I cannot tell you how proud and honored I am for all that you did on that day. When uncertainty was there, you were there. I've been so impressed by what you do each and every day, and the resilience and the courage that you displayed, and that this community shows. We've gone through crisis. We're not a stranger to that. But through a great community and through the public safety personnel and all the city staff that serves our community, I feel that we have been blessed and privileged and I'm honored to be the mayor, and I can tell you on behalf of the City Council, we want to thank each and every one of you for what you've done and what you do, and may God bless you. Thank you. And in order for some easy access out, as well as any photo opportunities, we're going to go ahead and take about a 10-minute break.